Have you ever had a moment like this in your life? You go through something completely unfair. The person who caused it seems to be doing even better. And everyone around you acts like it never mattered. In that moment, we tell ourselves something like this: just wait, karma will catch up with them. One day, they'll pay for what they did. But deep down, we all know that day often never comes. And yet, for thousands of years, people have kept believing the same thing. That somehow, somewhere, someone will have to answer for their actions. In Greek mythology, there is a goddess who carries that idea. Her name is Nemesis. But here's the interesting question. Why did human imagination create a goddess of revenge? Why not a goddess of justice, but a goddess of revenge? In Greek myth, Nemesis is often called the goddess of revenge. But she was never just a figure who punishes bad people. At her core, she represented something far more subtle and far more unsettling. Nemesis was a goddess of balance. When joy became too great, when power became too much, when fortune went too far, she was the force that restored things to their proper place. If someone became too lucky, too proud, too sure of themselves, Nemesis was the one who brought them back down. The ancient Greeks had a name for this kind of dangerous pride. They called it hubris. Hubris meant more than arrogance. It meant forgetting your limits. It meant acting as if you were above other people, or even above the gods. And in myth, hubris always called for a response. That response was Nemesis. That is why the Greeks did not always trust great success. If someone seemed too happy, too powerful, too untouchable, it could feel almost unsettling. As if that very success might provoke Nemesis. As if the higher they rose, the harder the fall might be. You can see this pattern again and again in the stories people tell about power and downfall. Think of Xerxes in the Persian Wars. He marched against Greece with overwhelming force. His fleet covered the sea, and his army seemed endless. He believed victory was certain. But the campaign ended in disaster, especially after the defeat at Salamis. Many people later saw that story in the same way. Xerxes had become blinded by hubris. You can say something similar about Rome. Rome expanded across the Mediterranean with military power, order, and confidence. Its people came to believe their world would last forever. But that kind of confidence can become its own weakness. Corruption, division, and outside pressure all exposed the same truth. Nothing stays above the limits forever. In that reading, Rome's collapse was not just a political failure. It was the price of hubris. But there is another question here. Why are we still so drawn to the story of Nemesis even now? The answer is simple. We want to believe the world is fair. Even when nothing happens right away. We want to believe that one day, the balance will return. In psychology, this connects to what is often called the just world belief. People want to feel that the world makes sense, that good and bad actions lead to fitting outcomes. Because if the world is completely unfair, then something inside us starts to break. That is why Nemesis still matters. Our minds are built to look for causes and consequences. We want actions to lead to results. We want betrayal to mean something. We want cruelty to come with a cost. But life is too messy for that. Bad things do not always happen to bad people. Some people win, and keep winning. So we create stories. We tell ourselves that even if justice does not arrive today, it will come in the end. That sooner or later, the scale will balance. That someone, somewhere, is keeping score. You can see this same instinct all over modern life. Online, people often become obsessed with the downfall of public figures who built their fame on lies, manipulation, or outrage. When those people finally fall apart in public, many viewers feel a strange sense of relief. That feeling is a modern version of Nemesis. We were waiting for the balance to return. The same thing happens in politics. When someone at the height of power suddenly loses everything, people react with almost instant emotion. Not just because of the fall itself, but because it feels like proof that the world has not completely lost its order. And this is the key point. Nemesis is not just about punishment. She is about balance. That difference matters more than it seems. Punishment is simple. Someone does wrong, and they suffer for it. But balance is bigger than that. Even too much good fortune can be seen as a kind of imbalance. That is why the Greeks were wary not only of evil, but of excess. Too much success, too much pride, too much certainty. Any of it could invite a fall. This idea also echoes parts of Eastern thought. In the symbol of yin and yang, each side already contains the seed of the other. Light carries darkness, strength carries weakness, extreme fortune already hints at reversal. The message is simple: when anything goes too far, its opposite begins to grow. Modern psychology points in a similar direction. Extreme success can create pressure instead of peace. People who rise too far, too fast, often become trapped by anxiety, fear, and self-destructive choices. What looks like victory from the outside can already contain the beginning of collapse. So when we return to Nemesis, we should see more than a goddess of revenge. She is the guardian of balance. And in many ways, she is still with us. Whenever greed grows too large, whenever pride climbs too high, whenever justice seems to disappear, we find ourselves waiting for her again. In the end, Nemesis never really leaves us, because we need her. As long as human beings long for fairness, as long as we fear imbalance, and as long as we hope that nothing stays broken forever, the idea of Nemesis will always remain.